Hey guys, and welcome back to JetpackRetro. I know I've been holding this video back for a long while, doing other videos like my update, announcing my other show, which after this, my next video will be the first episode of my other series I announced, the GameCube collection, where I show you my GameCube collection because I collect GameCube games. But I held this back for a while. I promised you a Futurama extravaganza where I would make 4 top 10 lists. Sorry, 4 top 7 lists. Why all the way to top 7? Find out yourself. So today is the top 7 best Futurama episodes, and I literally got my list ready here. As I told you guys, got this collection pack, and I just rewatched every single episode here. I just rewatched the whole entire pack and made my list the whole time while watching. So here it is. Top 7 best Futurama episodes. Now there are going to be a couple rules for this list. One, I'm not allowed to pick any emotional episodes because I feel that a Futurama episode is different from a emotional Futurama episode. That's why my next list after this one is going to be my top 7 most emotional episodes. I put my own emotional episodes list and best episode list because I just feel that it's not really fair to judge based on emotion. A lot of people do. A lot of people I ask always pick the emotional episodes for their favorite episode. So I decided to just make them separate. So no emotional episodes, not allowed to use the pilot because the pilot was just a starter, so makes sense. It was still like, this will be the same thing for my worst list. Not allowed to pick the pilot because it was just the starter. They were getting things started still. And not allowed to pick the movies. Just like the pack, this is only for episodes. Even the pack over there only comes with the episodes. It doesn't come with the 4-hour specials they made. So without further ado, let's get into it.
But there ain't no will, so we tell tall tales and sing a wailing tune.
That's not how it happened.
That's right, number 7 is The Series Has Landed. When I was making my list, I was trying to think on what were big, great episodes I remember so fondly. And yes, this is the second episode of the first season, and this was the episode that came out. Even the title of the episode, The Series Has Landed, was literally named by the fact that their show has succeeded. Which, even the name, I love how they did the naming of the episode. Now, the reason why I picked this episode is because everybody knows this episode. This episode's a classic. The episode where they go to the moon, and then Fry wants to relive the dream he had when he was an astronaut, and it turns to this whole big thing. I put this episode at number 7 because it's such a memorable one. This episode is a pure classic, and everybody remembers this episode. This episode is so famous that even the finale of the show, meanwhile, had a callback to it with the episode starting off with Fry, Leela, and Bender going back to the place after all these years. That's how important and big of an episode it is. So number 7, The Series Has Landed due to the fact that it is a pure classic, and I will always remember this episode like no other episode.
So I know good beans when I see them. Bean Bay beans, they're the beaniest.
Now this spot was kind of hard to pick because I actually picked another episode for this spot. But then, as I continued watching, I found another one that I remember and like way more than the one I chose. I originally chose the episode A Flight to Remember, the episode about the space Titanic, because it is one of my favorites. I love the episode of Flight to Remember. But then I continued watching, and yeah, I remember and enjoy A Leela of Her Own way more than I do A Flight to Remember. A Leela of Her Own has a story I enjoy more. I love the scenes with the new pizzeria by those weird aliens that don't even know how to do it. And the fact that Leela just keeps knocking out people and trying to be good is also just great. So number 6, A Leela of Her Own. It's a great solid episode and one that I always, whenever it's on, I enjoy it.
You honor me, Chairman Koji.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
This one was another hard one to pick. This episode is about a story that they made well known for quite some time. Bender wanting to be a chef. He's always been mentioned that way, and there's many episodes. Even the episode that introduced the idea of him being the crew's chef. This episode is about him wanting to be a chef. His cooking sucks, and they have a really, really funny scene of him serving this terrible food, and even the line he says when Leela's crying is just hilarious.
Let's go. Move it out. Stop crying, Leela.
And then he goes on to find an old chef that ends up teaching him and gives him the secret ingredient of water, which ends up having him win Iron Chef contest against Elzar with, and I actually like this, that they use the food Soylent Green as the main ingredient for the episode. Soylent Green is a classic film, and I'm so happy that a lot of Futurama does a lot of good callbacks to films like this. So anyways, 30% Iron Chef, it's another great solid episode, and one I could rewatch any day of the week.
Thank you. That song doesn't usually last 3 hours.
That's right, this episode, the one where Bender's the country singer, where Bender tries to open a can opener with really funny banter against the can opener, and then gets damaged, meets the singer Beck, and then goes on this whole emotional journey for broken robots, just to find out he's not even one and he tries to run away with the money. Now, it seems like a very simple premise and a very simple episode of just about country music, and I agree, but the reason why this episode makes the top 4 spot is because of Fry and the gang scenes. The scenes where they find the old van and they slowly, by accident, wherever they go, slowly by accident, end up turning into hippies with their clothes being ruined in the wash, them losing their money in the wash, and then slowly just going into the path of a hippie. That whole segment right there is literally what pushed this episode to be number 4. If it wasn't for that side story, this episode wouldn't even be on my list. So, kudos for making a side story so good that I like watching the episode just for that side story. The stuff with Bender being broken and his little scam towards the end is not bad either, but it's just not as good as the Fry and the rest of them turning into hippies slowly with Zoidberg and stuff. It's just great, and the side story is literally the driving force that pushes this episode to a great number 4 spot.
Why couldn't she be the other kind of mermaid? With the fish part on top and the lady part on the bottom?
That's right. Now this episode I actually was kind of hard when putting this episode. The Deep South is an episode about the Futurama gang going for fishing, and then the fishing ends up having them crash into underwater territory where they have to look for seafood and stuff and survive there until they can get the ship fixed. Well, at the same time, Fry accidentally finds a mermaid, which ends up causing this whole thing of Atlantis being found. Now, what makes me love this episode so much is the area they're exploring. I love the whole them catching the fish underwater, the whole Zoidberg turning a shell into his home there, and even the story for how Atlantis became to be is actually hilarious too. I love the methods they use when it comes to breathing underwater that the professor makes, like this giant suppository that, because he can't shove it up their Fry, he has to just suck on it, and it's actually hilarious. It doesn't fit in his ass, so he just sucks on it. It's a great episode, and what makes this the number 3 spot is the fact that it has such a good area to explore. This whole underwater world of Atlantis is really interesting and really great to explore. Now, I was fighting on whether to put I Must Be a Crustacean in Love in this spot instead of this, because they both tackle the same idea of a new area being explored. But I enjoyed this one much more than I Must Be a Crustacean in Love. And the story of I Must Be a Crustacean in Love isn't as good as this one, which is why this got the spot and that one didn't. Anyways, another great episode, and if you guys ever see it, you should. The Atlantis story is just hilariously told. Like, it's funny how they tell the story of Atlantis. They have this one weird talk singer to tell it. And even the story on it's because of a caffeine shot that they morphed so quickly. But number 3 spot, it's another classic. You should guys watch The Deep South.
And you say you can guarantee me the Oscar?
I can guarantee you anything you want.
Then I'll do it.
Hooray! Here's your checkbook.
Oh yeah, I went there. Number 2 on this list is That's Lobstertainment. And if you guys are wondering why out of all the episodes is this number 2, it hits my soft spot. If you guys know, and I've said this in another video, One of the reasons why I love Bojack Horseman so much, it does have really good story and such good telling of emotions and depression and stuff like that. It does. It's really well done on how it talks about depression and stuff that could happen to you from how you were treated growing up. And I love Bojack Horseman for that. But what also makes me love it is that the world it's in, Hollywood, film, how movies are made, the production, Bojack getting jobs and acting. I love this environment so much for movies. That's probably why one of my favorite Scooby-Doo movies is Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood. I always love the atmosphere of a Hollywood set. That these are people just working on a movie and the stuff they go through film-wise and stuff like that. I just love that idea, and that's really why it gets a spot. It hits my soft spot, and well, really solid episode. It's about Zoidberg finding an old relative of his that's good at acting. Well, used to be a comedian, and now he's washed up and has to work with Zoidberg in how to get it back. It causes a whole funny misunderstanding thing with Calculon, and actually has a really hilarious way at a comedian trying to make a serious drama. Although it shows in the episode when his uncle tries making a serious drama, he just can't. He's a comedian. He even has funny stuff happening throughout it and all that. So this is just another great episode, and yes, it gets the number 2 spot just due to the fact that it hits my soft spot hard of episodes taking place around film and production and stuff like that. It's amazing episode. It's one of my absolute favorites, while being number 2, and it's one I rewatch a lot. It's a great episode. I recommend it so highly. And just the thing with Zoidberg working in Hollywood with his comedian uncle, and his uncle not getting how a drama works and throwing funny things into the drama. It's really well done. The stuff with Calculon, you just need to see it. I won't spoil any more. Just see the episode for yourself. It is a classic.
No cheap crack houses for me no more.
My number 1 pick is 300 Big Boys. Now, yes, this is the episode where after the war against the spiders ends, everybody gets $300 to spend as they please. Why would nobody else like this setup? This adds for so much possibility and causes for so much to happen. This is my number 1 favorite episode because it takes the idea of here's $300 and then you get to see all the stories of all these characters and what they spend it on, what they do with it. Zoidberg trying to be a rich man with the money, Fry drinking 100 cups of coffee. Hell, I've used that clip in many of my old videos before because I just love that episode so much. Bender spending the 300 on a stealing kit to steal from the same place to get a cigar. Hermes trying to use it to have fun with his son when his son just wants to be a serious businessman just like his dad. I could go on and on about how perfect this episode is. Even the professor going to a really funny place with the DreamWorks logo to buy something to make him look younger. It is great. Even the party at the end where Fry saves the day is just perfect. This episode is among the number 1 best Futurama episode I've ever seen. Because it's the one episode of Futurama I can go back all the time, over and over and over, and watch and never get sick of it. Because just to see all the crazy stuff these people do with just $300 is perfect. So yes, my number 1 favorite is 300 Big Boys. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of the Futurama extravaganza. This was my top 10 favorite episodes list, and I will see you later for the top 10 most emotional episodes. I just thought there's so many great emotional episodes of Futurama, and that deserved its own list. I think emotional episodes are different from best episodes when you're judging a Futurama episode on its own compared to when they do an emotional episode. So part 2 of the extravaganza will be top 7 most emotional Futurama episodes. But until then, see you guys.